Thrivesters, I'm so excited about this topic today. And it's a little ironic because right now I'm recording in the afternoon and usually I record in the morning. The reason I record in the morning is because my energy is off the charts in the morning, but it's the afternoon and I'm just going to do it anyway. So if my energy seems a little off, this is why, which brings me to an excellent segue into today's topic, which is managing your energy. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because it's the beginning of July, and when you live in a coastal community or when you live in a town that has beaches and it's peaks in the summer, you get pulled in a lot of directions come summertime. So it's like a switch flips on and it's boom, 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 boom. And I've been experiencing this myself a lot lately. And I've been talking with many of you Thrivesters, many in the Hive, and a lot of people feel the same way. Remember what Dr. Audra taught us, which really was really enlightening for me, which is stress is stress. Your body doesn't know the difference. So if you are going from party to party to party, or entertaining to party to entertaining, or back to back to back, your body doesn't know the difference. All it knows is that your cortisol is up. So today we're going to talk about how to manage your energy. So here's how this is going to go. Okay. We're going to talk about the number one thing that you can do to make sure that you're just really not only managing, but maximizing your energy. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to tell you that in a second. How to allocate your energy, how to identify and deal with energy drainers, and then finally, the recharge. I call it the recharge, which is really, really important. And many of us, myself included, simply don't do it enough. With that, Podsters, let's take it away. So, the first or the number one or the biggest, the most important thing you can do in managing your energy is to know yourself. And that means knowing when your energy peaks, knowing when your energy might be in a valley. I'll get to that in a second. And knowing that you have a finite amount of energy. And I have said this for a very, very long time. I have a limited, not very, but a limited amount of energy. And I'm never going to get that back. So because I have a limited amount of energy, how do I decide what gets that energy? And that can be really, really difficult, especially if you are working or if you are taking care of a family or if you are working and taking care of a family or if you are traveling or if you are caring for somebody who's ill, whatever the case may be. There's only 24 hours in a day. And like there's only 24 hours in a day, you only have a specific amount of energy. So knowing yourself, and the reason why I talk about the peaks and valleys is because today's a great example. So I'm recording the podcast in the afternoon. Ordinarily, I would never do that. My energy is peak, 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 peak in the morning. I'm on my game in the morning from 5 a.m. to probably maybe even noon or 11. That's it. I'm doing it. I'm crushing it. I'm doing 100 things at once. Come like 1 or 2 o'clock, I can't do anything that requires like significant thinking or significant detail. I could, it simply takes me longer because my energy isn't there anymore. It's not my peak time. It's not when I thrive. So I've learned over the years not to schedule a lot of calls after 2 o'clock, not to schedule difficult conversations after 2 o'clock. If somebody wants to talk to me about something and I'm tired or run down and it's late in the day, I'll say, is this urgent? And if it's not, can we pick it up tomorrow morning? Most of my raps, when I had a big team, they were in the morning because that's when my energy is best. So know when your energy is best. And if you need help figuring that out, I mean, you could do some of these online surveys and things like that. I think that if you listen to this podcast, you probably are pretty self-aware. Think about when you're at your best. When are you the happiest? When are you the most creative? When are you the most optimistic? That's when your energy is at its best, I would argue. Okay, so now that you know or honor that you have a finite amount of energy, how do you allocate it? How do you decide who gets your energy? That's tough. Same thing with time. And if you think about it and compare it to time, it's hard as you could think that everything is equally important, yet if you do not set limits to the time or the energy that you are devoting, you will burn yourself out. Again, it doesn't matter if it's great things. The other day we had a party, we had a dinner, and we had an after party. We had a party, a dinner, and a dessert event. And I'm like, you know what? I can't do all three of these because we had a full day as well. Like, I can't. I can't. They're all great. They're all fun. I want to go to all three. I can't. And something had to give. because I knew that if something didn't give, I wouldn't enjoy any of them. So here's how I try to allocate. I do think three things. One is go back to my priorities or my values or my buckets. By the way, the summer bucket list is a great way to do that. Also, it's very much working. I have checked a couple things off my bucket list. If you've checked something off your bucket list, let me know. Send me an email, shoot me a note. You have all my information is in the show notes. I'm pretty hard to miss on social media. Let me know what it was because I'm really excited. I have some people that have gotten in touch with me and said, oh, this was on my bucket list and I did it. So, anyway, bucket list. What are your priorities for the summer or for the season or for the rest of the year, whatever the case may be? Priorities in terms of if you did goals at the beginning of the year, if you did the mid year reset, what are your core buckets? Like, what are your priorities? Could be family, could be health, could be family, health, and something else. We've done that, and that we've covered that in previous episodes. And if you're limited in your energy, or if you have more coming in than you can manage, if it doesn't fall into one of those buckets, think hard about it, how you're going to handle it. I probably, unless it was an emergency. It's important, yes, but I've already agreed with myself that this is what's most important. And if this new important thing doesn't fall into one of these important things, then it's going to have to wait. Doesn't mean you never do it. It means that you have to modify how you approach it. Okay. So number one was priorities. Number two is knowing what saps your energy, what drains your energy. So this differs from person to person. For me, there are a few things that drain my energy. And I'm going to talk about how to overcome these in a minute. Energy vampires drain my energy. Expectations and a misalignment of expectations or unrealistic expectations. This is expectations others have of me, expectations I have of others, and most importantly, I talked about this a lot last year, expectations I have of myself. The person with the most unrealistic expectations of you is you. I guarantee it. So let's give ourselves a little grace. Okay. Events, particularly in the summer, everybody's having a barbecue, everybody's having a cookout, everybody's having a beach party, everybody's having a softball game, everything. Graduation parties, it's crazy. Events, multiple or many, many events, that's my energy, which is interesting because I'm an extrovert, but that's a conversation for another time. Okay. So those are like my top three. Let's drill down on these a little bit. The energy vampire. If you haven't heard that term before, an energy vampire is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. They drain your energy. They suck the energy either out of you, out of the room, out of the universe, for whatever reason. They literally suck the energy out of you or the room. So this is hard because it could be a friend, it could be a work colleague, it could be a family member, it could be a client, it could be any number of people. And it could be intentional or it could be unintentional. Many times, energy vampires don't know that they're energy vampires. Here's the few that I find are the easiest to identify. One is the drama. So there's always some kind of drama. Always some kind of drama. Oh, this happened, blah, 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 and this happened, blah, blah, blah. Or they're always, I would say drama and negativity probably is drama slash negativity. People who always complain, always, they suck the energy out of me. And it's interesting. I wish I was a better person and I could say that they don't, but they do. So pay attention. Pay attention to when you're with someone, how they make you feel. And if you feel drained, not after one time. I mean, everybody has drama or everybody has times in their life when they are complaining. But if every time you're with the person, you dread seeing them, you're exhausted after you see them, that's a red flag. And I'm going to talk about how to handle them in a minute. Toxic people, if there's a toxic relationship, if there's a toxic work situation, toxicity for me it's not good. That's right up there with drama. And then there's the passive aggressive. So this could be someone who comes across as being very nice and open and friendly, and yet they're kind of jabbing you every now and then. Yeah, that's not fun either. There are many other kinds of energy vampires. Those are the three that resonate the most with me. So those are the ones that I decided to cover. Okay, so how do you handle an energy vampire? I did a whole podcast episode on this last year. I'm gonna reference it in the show notes. It was really fun. I think I did some role plays. I liked it. So there's a few things. One is I will try to avoid them in the first place. Not always easy. Easier said than done. Like I said, sometimes they're family members, maybe it's your boss, who knows? So try to minimize your time with them, which I say that knowing that it's not always that simple. You can manage them in short spurts. So let's say it's a work situation, you're talking to someone, they're an energy vampire, you have to talk to them. You don't necessarily have to spend an hour with them. Perhaps you spend 30 minutes with them. Perhaps you spend 15 minutes with them and say, I'm going to come back later. Or perhaps you sit down with them and then you say, okay, I'm going to go work on what we talked about. I'll regroup with you if I need your help. There are many ways you can manage that. I find that short bursts is pretty effective because I'm out of the situation before they really get to me or before they can really suck out my energy. You can ask for space or you can make the space. So, say it's a friend and they always have drama and you need a little break. You could either take the little break and maybe be a little less available, or you could say, right now I have a ton of priorities. Can we plan to get together, next month? Or, instead of this week, time is at a premium right now. How's like 3 weeks from now? Or as I said, you can make the space, which is you just kind of push back or you kind of put up I call it the Wonder Woman force field, and you limit your time with them. And I will say, I have never seen it end well when someone confronts an energy vampire, ever, ever. And you're feeding it. So you're feeding the beast. If someone is an energy vampire, they're passive aggressive or they're toxic or they're dramatic or for whatever reason, they are sapping your energy and you approach them about it or you confront them about it, this is what they want. Remember, the person with the drama feeds on drama. And if you give them drama, you're feeding them and you're helping them to grow. So you can just kind of, what does my friend say? Observe, not absorb. That's a doozy. I love that one. It's Brenda Johnston. She's coming on the podcast in September. I love that. You can observe it without absorbing it. And that's been very helpful for me. Okay, so that's the energy vampire. I want to talk about expectations. And expectations to me, they're one of the easiest things to manage. What's difficult is identifying when there's some kind of communication fail. One of the best ways to manage expectations is by communicating your expectations or communicating if someone's expectations of you are unrealistic. That kind of goes hand in hand with boundaries with others, boundaries with ourselves, like I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to talk about expectations first and then get back to boundaries. Okay. Then this is managing expectations. It could be boundary-ish, but anyway, all right. So let's say I wrote these down because I really like these. Let's say it's with your boss or your partner. Here's one. I love the idea. And at the moment, I have as much on my plate as I'm comfortable with. I can make this a priority next month. Okay. So this happens in my house often. Let's say it's, hey, we need to replace the water heater. Okay. Which we have, but that's another story. So let's say we need to replace the water heater. And Danny, my husband, says, hey, honey, we need to replace the water heater. Do you think you can handle that? I could very easily say, absolutely, I think it's a good idea. Right now, I have as much on my plate as I'm comfortable with, not as I can handle, as I'm comfortable with, because I can handle more. I'm simply not comfortable handling. I don't want to handle more. I'm not comfortable handling more. Right now, I have as much on my plate as I'm comfortable with. I can take a look at this in a month or so. Or right now, I have as much on my plate as I'm comfortable with. If you need this done now, I'm going to ask you to do it. If it can wait a couple months, then I'm happy to take it on. Okay. So that's your partner. Here's one for your boss. I love this. I love this example. I think this is a great project. At the moment, my plate is full. Would you like to help me prioritize, or would you like me to do that? And then I'll come back to you and let you know what has to come off my plate in order for me to do this. When I talk about setting boundaries with your boss, oftentimes they get deer in the headlights. You're not being rude. You're not disagreeing with them and you're not being insubordinate. You're saying, I think this is a great project and I'd really love to dive into this. At the moment, my plate is full. Do you want to help me prioritize, or do you want me to do it and give you my recommendation for what can come off my plate? What's wrong with that? That to me is perfectly reasonable. Okay, so let's talk about boundaries with ourselves, because again, these are the ones that, man, expectations and boundaries with ourselves. They're the first to, for me, they're the first to go. Okay, so for me, it's when I let go of my routines. It's when I let the pressure, or my rituals. It's when I let the pressure of the world take over and take over my time. And I I feel it. It happens much more often than I would like it to. I'm being honest. And when it does, that's when I know it's time to have this little chat with myself. And I'm gonna read this. Okay, ready? Okay, if you feel tempted to let go of your routines, this is something I worked on a year ago. This was during the holidays, but okay. So I understand that the summer brings extra demands on my time, and I've learned that taking care of myself allows me to show up better for other people. My routines are a way to honor my needs, and they're non-negotiable. This is what you can say to yourself. I'm going to say it again. I understand that the summertime brings extra demands, and I've learned that taking care of myself helps me show up better for others. My routines are a way to honor my needs, and they're non negotiable. Do you think you could say that to yourself? I think you could. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's okay to adjust when needed, but I will still make time for the things that nourish me. Or I will still make time for some of the things that nourish me. Or I will still make time for even the smallest moments or the smallest routines, like sitting in the sun in my Adirondack chair and drinking my coffee. I can be flexible while still staying committed to my well being. I love that. I think that's great. I'm actually going to take that with me tomorrow morning. Okay. So that's how to recommit to your boundaries with yourself. Again, for me, it's my rituals. And then finally, I love this one, events. Events can be very overwhelming to me, as I mentioned, when we have multiple in a row. And this usually comes from overcommitting. Again, remember, even good stress is stress on your system. So the number one way to avoid overcommitting, drum roll, is to say no in the first place, which I know is not easy and it sounds a lot easier than it is. So, and I've gotten a little better about this, still not always intuitive for me. So here's an example of how to say no in the first place. Let's say it's something super, by the way, the other thing is you can't do everything. So, I could have three really fun things that I could go do. I know I can't do all of them or I will burn myself out. I need to choose. I need to sacrifice one of those things. So let's say I sacrifice it. I say, oh, wow, that sounds like so much fun. I'm sorry. I just can't make it. But boy, I'll look forward to hearing the stories. Or I'm sure there's going to be some great stories. I can't wait to hear all about them when I see you again. Something like that. Okay. Let's say somebody gets engaged, they're getting married, or it's graduation or something great. I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. I am so sorry to miss the celebration. Let's make a time when we can catch up and celebrate one on one. Okay. You're acknowledging the fact that it's a significant event. You're saying, I want to schedule some time to celebrate with you. I just can't do it now. I think that's great. I'm going to say it again. I'm so happy for you. That's so exciting. Oh, that's awesome. Have so much fun. And let's schedule a time for you and I to celebrate one on one at a later date. It's fine, right? Okay. Then there's the thank you so much for the invitation. We're just not able to attend. Or thank you for the invitation. I can't make it. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm not going to be able to make it. That's it. You don't have to explain why. You don't have to, you can say I'm sorry if you want, but you don't have to make it this, oh, I'm so sorry. I just have so much on my plate. You don't have to do any of that. You can just say, oh, that sounds awesome. I'm not able to make it. The end. And then finally, it's going to be a shocker to many of you. You can simply say no. Just no. Just no, can't attend. Especially, by the way, if it's an old-fashioned invitation, cannot attend. Boop, boop. Okay. People aren't expecting everybody to attend. Okay. So that's a few of the ways you can say no. Now, let's talk about what to do when you overcommit. This is the queen of overcommitting here. If there was an award to the person who overcommits the most, guarantee you it would go to me. First thing you can do is back out. This is social, this is work, this is family, any of it. You can simply back out. You can cancel. You can cancel. Now, I'm not saying to make a habit of it. As long as you don't make a habit of it, people will understand. And 9 times out of 10, they'll probably appreciate the time back or, whatever the case may be. As long as if you cancel at a reasonable time frame, if you, again, don't make a habit of it, if you're kind, you can cancel. What I don't recommend is that you simply don't show up. That I can't support that. Okay. And remember, you must take care of yourself. Okay. The next one is you can modify. So this would be, oh, I would love to do dinner. I'm stretched for time these days. How about a quick cup of coffee? Or I would love to come over for the barbecue. I'm really committed this week. Can we meet for lunch instead? Or I can't do lunch. How about a walk? Any of these things is fine. You can postpone. There's a million ways you can do this. And I've talked about this a lot on the podcast. One of my favorite ways to postpone is to be sincere and say, I really want to make sure that I can focus on us and the conversation, or focus on, I really want to make sure that I can enjoy our time together. And right now I'm stretched pretty thin. Would it be okay with you if we postponed a few weeks so that I can make sure that we're really, really locked and loaded, or however you want to say it? Or I have so many conflicting priorities right now. I really want to make sure that we enjoy our time together and that I can enjoy this. I don't get to see you that often, and I really want to make sure that I can enjoy the time with you. Do you mind if we postpone a couple weeks? See what they say. I guarantee you they will not be upset. I've never had anybody be upset. Or maybe they were upset, but they didn't act upset and they didn't share with me that they were upset. Okay. So finally, the last way to make sure you're managing your energy is to make sure that you are recharging. And this is great. This has become a phrase in my household. I'm recharging my social battery. That's it. That's it. Recharging my social battery. And it's knowing when you need to do that, and knowing what happens if you don't do that, and then making the tough decisions to do that. So it could be, there's a great, for me, we're on the beach. We live on Cape Cod. Could be a great party that's going on the beach that only happens once a year. But if I have back to back to back to back to back, I know I'm not going to have fun. And I'm going to get tired, and I'm going to get run down. I'm going to get burnt out. It's going to zap my energy. And I've actually said, so my friends have invited me out for, hey, we're going to go watch the sunset. I have literally said, I'm taking tonight to recharge my social battery. Have a great time. That's it. That's it. Or I need to recharge my social battery. Have so much fun. Or I need a night in. Everybody understands. Everybody understands when I do this. And frankly, you can be setting yourself up to be the role model for someone else when you do this. Okay, so what do you think? Can you try some of these? Can you try one of these? Can you try two of them? Can you try three of them? Can you try all of them? I don't know. That's my quick anecdotes for how to manage your energy this summer. Let's keep this to summer because the holidays are a special kind of demand on our time and energy. So with that, Thrivesters, I'm out. I'm going to go recharge my social battery. We have lots of guests coming up. If there's something you want to hear about, let me know. I am still running my reset coaching package. It's 3 sessions, half price. If that's something you think you might want to explore, there's a link in the show notes. It's a very quick questionnaire, and then we hop on the phone and decide if it's a good fit for you. So with that, Thrivesters, go out there and thrive like you mean it.